For me, when it's all said and done, my kids gonna be a constant reminder of why I do what I do. Like they gonna be a constant reminder, of why I do what I do, how I do what I do. Um, and some people just don't see it like that. Like some people just don't see it like that. They don't get it. They don't understand it. But it ain't for everybody to understand. You know. My name is Forge Bay. Welcome to the Forge. And here, what we do is we talk about trust, the importance of trust, why you need a trust, assets, what an asset, what can go into a trust, um, how you leverage a trust, how you use a trust to to reinvest, and to build generational wealth to pass down to your children. Thank you for joining. So tonight, specifically, what we'll be building on is because a lot of people think that in order to have a trust, like you have to be rich, like you have to be a rich person in order to have a trust. You have to be a rich person and in order to even set a trust up. But that's not true, right? That's not true at all. In order to have a trust, all you have to do is have some assets to put in the trust. Even if you don't have the assets just yet, right? The assets fund is gonna fund your trust, right? So that's the part that the assets gonna play. They're gonna be specifically used for funding your trust. You know what I'm saying? The main thing is setting the trust up, right? The most important thing is funding the trust, right? Because you could create a trust, set it up, and never fund it. You got plenty of people that do that. They pay $1,500, $3,000 just for a trust and never fund it. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Never protect it. You know. Now, when it's time, something happens. You know, it's going into probate because you had a trust, but you never funded it. You never took the time to go down to the county and get it recorded to where that stuff is no longer in your name, it's your trust name, or gotten things retitled into your name, got your bank account retitled, or even opened up a trust bank account, um, changing the insurance over, um, and into the trust name. And that's a lot of things. That's another thing about a trust. A trust requires maintenance, especially a revocable trust. It's a trust that over time you want to change as situations change with the family. You see what I'm saying? So that means that if a new child is born into the family, or you get married, you get divorced, um, somebody passed away, um, you change states, that's the most important one. If you move from one state to another, so a trust, the the laws of a trust is governed by the state that it's created in. So creating this trust in Florida and then moving to Georgia, that changes everything. What you got to do is you got to change that trust over into the state that you move in. You see what I'm saying? So that's updating the trust. You got to update the trust. Somebody born, you get married, divorced, like I just said. Those are major life changes. That, that's why even when you work a job, they tell you like whenever that's the only time that you can make a change to your insurance policy is when you have a major life change. You know what I'm saying? Something major in your life happens, then you can update that policy. It's the same thing with a trust. But a trust, you want to, like I said, you want to stay on top of it. And then you got, we'll talk about what a revocable trust is and how to use it and process it. A irrevocable trust, a testamentary trust, a charitable trust, um, a a a, a trust dealing with someone that's disabled. The term not coming to my mind now, but that's what that particular trust is for. You got a loved one that's disabled. You want to, in order for to keep their medical care going, that trust is created specifically for that. And then you got spindrift trust, which you left your children a large sum of money, but they're not gonna be conscious enough to make the right budgeting decisions on, so you want to protect them with that, also protect them from creditors that may sue them and try to come for them. So those would be some of the things again that will be good to know, as well as um, just real life situations, real life things that go on, around you, how you came up, things like that. There, what I'm saying, your family, family history, things of that nature, man. Because, um, like I say, I come from a large family. People who know me, they know me. They know my family. I came from a large family. Um, and that was one thing that was, it wasn't structure, man. Like, I'm not gonna say that there was no structure. Um, my dad, for the most part, for me, my dad was a good dad. Um, you know, uh, and it was always simple. It was always simple, man. Always, and that's why I enjoy simple things right now today. I'm a simple dude. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a flashy dude. I'm not um I'm not one that uh put a lot of value into tangible things. Into yeah, I don't put a lot of value into tangible things unless it's something that holds a level of value that can be used as a betterment for my family, right? So people put a lot of value in things, and again, I don't get caught up on what a person put value into, because we're all living our own experience. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're all living, the best way that we know how, and it's beautiful uh, when you get conscious and you learn other things, man, and you know what they call it, put some wrinkles. You know what I'm saying? Gain some wrinkles in your brain. You know what I'm saying? Because you're learning different things, right? And you're evolving and you're growing. Um, but yeah, at the same time, you know, there was no structure. There was um, no nest egg. There was no, oh, this, my father. This happened to my father. At least, whatever my father was out there doing in the streets doing, this was in place in case anything happened to him. All the children that he had, uh, it'll be some type of structure in place that at least get him a start and chance. You know what I'm saying? And like for me, that's it's most important for me because I didn't have that. And my story is no different from a lot of other people's story that grew up um, in any type of low income type of environment. You know what I'm saying? Our stories are pretty much all the same, um, though everyone is unique, you know, based on his own situation. You know what I'm saying? And so, with that being said, um, you know, I want to again have something in place to at least give my children a start chance, because of the fact that that we are living in a world where uh, most of the things we do is based on how you look. You know what I'm saying? The things that you gain, the things that you uh, are even privy to, is based on how you look. That's a fact. That's not something that that needs to be beat around bush. That's a fact. So, with that being said, you know, you, I just don't understand how a person uh, would not want to have something in place, you know, for the children that they bring into this world, man. You know what I'm saying? Like even if you're not on good terms with the mom, you're not on good terms with the father is not on good terms. Whatever the household situation is. You know what I'm saying? Man, listen, I know as hard as I had to experience it and hard as, I had to go through things, yeah, I can't see myself, what I'm saying, not putting something in place for my baby, But that's just me, you know what I'm saying? That's just me. A lot of people don't feel that way. And again, you know what I'm saying? It's just, a lot of people think that it's complex to set up a trust and put a trust in place and have something in place. Look, even if you work a job, you're working a job, right? You're working a 9 to 5 job, right? Most jobs now have, where you can have an insurance policy. You know, a lot of jobs are, especially like technical jobs, blue collar jobs, HVAC, electrical, um, plumbing, things of that nature. They give you the ability to um, have a life insurance policy with the company, paid for by the company. Well, even with that, you can take that and put that into a trust, right? So overnight, at the least, if you depending on how you got the insurance that's paid for through the company, right? Depending on how you got that set up, you're talking about sometimes that's $400,000 in insurance. Some people is higher than that. You take that, right? You take that and put that into your trust, and you got a $400,000 valuated trust, right? That you can borrow against. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's just listen, man. That's just working a blue collar job, bro. Right? And say you're into and you're into things like old school cars, right? You got an old school car. You take that and you put that into a trust, and now the value of that car is in the trust. You see what I'm saying? Right? So now your trust just went from $380,000 that you get from your job alone, right? That you have on your company policy. The beneficiary of that is going to be your trust, right? That's not an individual, right? The beneficiary is going to be the trust, right? Who's the beneficiaries to the trust? Your children, your wife, whoever you have as a beneficiary. You know what I'm saying? Whoever you have as beneficiary. And now you take that trust and you can borrow against that trust. You see what I'm saying? And that's just two things, right? That's the insurance from your job and the old school whip. Now, look, we can get a little deeper than that there, and we are going to get a little deeper than that there. You know what I'm saying? But I want to know, you know, um, I want to know y'all thoughts, man, and I want to know, you know, um, I just, listen. I know I really didn't go deep into things about my family, my past, but again, that's something that'll be built on in the future, in future episodes. Um, at the same time, man, I love for y'all to drop y'all comments in the comment section. And if it's something in particular that you want me to talk about dealing with trusts, you know what I'm saying, I'll do that as well. Also, download the app. You can download my app, TrustForge, TrustForge.link. You can go to the website, create the trusts on the website. Uh, it has a small educational that basically breaks down to you and tell you what a trust is, explains to you what a trust is, and how easy it is to set it up, and walk you through the steps and actually help you set up the trust. But again, this is not just a topic. This is not just a podcast. The whole purpose of me even doing this is to start a movement to create protection, bro, for our future generations, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because we spend so much money, bro. We spend so much money, and a lot of that money is a part of our legacy, bro. A lot of that is a part of things that we can put in place and we can structure for our children, for the next generation, bro. That at the same time, that at least get them a starting chance, bro. That at least get them a starting chance. You know what I'm saying? So, um, drop your comments in your comment. Drop your comments in the comment section, man. Hit that like button, if you like the video. And you know what I'm saying? Give me a subscribe if you like the channel, man. Help me grow this thing out, man. Again, this is not just a podcast, bro. This is the movement. All right. Peace and love. I love y'all.
We're changing lives, one trust at a time. We're changing lives, one trust at a time. We're changing lives, one trust at a time. We're changing lives.